Okay, so there's a theory that's been passed down from generation to generation that if Vinícius has braids, he's cursed, and the only way for him to regain his aura is to go back to his natural hair. Today, that theory was confirmed. 3-0 for Real Madrid against Salzburg. A massive performance from Xabi Alonso's team. Coming into this game, we had a lot of questions. Game 1, we almost had no training sessions. We couldn't really judge anything. Game 2, we got a red card, so no real clue once again on the way we'll play. But this was the first time we saw Real Madrid fully execute Xabi-Ball, and in a must-win game too. We finished top of the group and avoided a Man City that just dropped 5 past Juventus. So our lineup on paper was a 4-3-3, but it was completely different in game. The moment we kicked off, Tchouaméni dropped into a back three with Rudiger and Oysen to become the middle center back in possession. Our double pivot was Arda and Fede, Trent and García were the wing backs, and Gonzalo was up top. What I found interesting was that we played a box midfield with Vini as the left cam and Bellingham as the right cam. Without the ball, we pressed in a diamond. Vini and Gonzalo were on the center backs. Valverde was in the hole and Güler and Bellingham were shifting behind. And honestly, that setup was blessed. Højlund passed it to Valverde, then Güler. It went back to Tchouaméni, who, as I mentioned in a past game analysis, is excellent spreading the play from these positions. He got it to Trent, who found Jude making a dangerous run. And throughout the whole game, Trent illuminated the pitch with his passing game. From that excellent weak foot cross to Rudiger, to the laser first time pass he gave Vini for a transition opportunity. Vini then laid it off to Güler, got it back and whipped a dangerous cross into the box. That's when we first started smelling Ballon d'Or Vini energy. 2 minutes later, Bellingham receives the ball deep in our half and sends a ridiculous ball to Vini. Gonzalo makes a dummy run that Vini uses to cut in and bury it with his left foot. And after that goal, Vini was unplayable. He got a throw in from García in our half, turned and hit a perfect switch to Jude, who runs half the pitch before passing it to Trent, who nearly finds Fede for the header. Valverde actually smacked the post out of frustration, not knowing he would score a few minutes later. Then, Vini flicked it Joga Bonito style to Güler a few seconds later to break the Salzburg press. And right before halftime, it's Güler's press actually that ends up getting Vini through on goal, and he backheels it intelligently to Valverde for the 2-0 right before the halftime break. Güler was an absolute maestro during the game, dictating the tempo from deep. The one sequence that best highlighted that was that lofted through ball to García on some Messi to Alba things. And defensively, he was a monster too, winning the most duels in the team, winning 3 out of 4 tackles, registering 5 defensive actions, 1 interception. Another defensive monster was Gonzalo García. And it's underrated how much he would flip dangerous transitions Salzburg might have had back in our favor and actually transform them into chances for us to score. At some point, his pressing aura actually made the defender pass it out of play, but he somehow still recovered it. I always try to find moments we could improve on, so I should probably mention that time when Salzburg's midfielder literally walked through our team. Thank God it wasn't Pedri feeding Yamal in that situation. But on the flip side though, Chu, Fede and Belly completely destroyed their midfield at some point. They ran a passing circuit twice in a row that ended with Jude getting the ball in the pocket and turning it into a dangerous chance. We started the second half strong, with Jude doing spins under pressure. Gonzalo was still pressing and recovering the ball as well, and Trent was putting on a passing clinic with crazy one-touch passes. We definitely felt that Madrid was waiting for Salzburg to attack in order to counter them. We defended quite poorly in these situations. Oysen got cooked once, but thankfully it was blocked by Güler. Tchouaméni also had an excellent game defensively. There's like 3 or 4 sequences where he protects Courtois from dangerous positions with passionate defensive actions. My favorite one is definitely when he recovers the ball in the box and turns while being pressured by 5 players inside the box and somehow passes it perfectly to Jude, who starts a counter. And yeah, the way we defended corners was also terrible in the second half. Salzburg was able to find a player completely unmarked at the back post twice. One of them was past Courtois, but Jude saved it off the line even though it might have not even been on target. Courtois paid him back though with a magnificent pass around the hour mark. Ball then went to Trent, who did a casual trivela to Vini. Then a few minutes later, he dribbled through 3 players to find Jude for a third-man combination with Fede, getting the ball back and back-heeling it to Jude once more in the box. And yeah, there was another sequence with Jude grabbing the ball near our box and running 70 yards to feed Gonzalo for a 1v1. He was ridiculous during the game, distributing distributing so many dangerous passes. Now, Rodrigo came on at the 60th minute and was the real disappointment of the game. He slowed us down, didn't really take any risks, and even missed some first touches as if he was cursed by Fran Garcia or something. So yeah, definitely he was the flop of the game, unfortunately, because I love him when he's locked in. Modric came on, was pure class like usual, and yeah, we gotta enjoy every minute left with him wearing the badge. Brahim came in late, around the 80th minute, which was surprising considering his performance last game. He had a big chance still, of course starting from a Trent pass that unlocked the 3v2. He passed it to Rodrigo, who did a bad touch, but Trent actually followed the action and got it back, cooked a defender and gave a dime to Brahim, who for some reason didn't want to score, I guess. But someone did score, and it was Gonzalo off of a Trent pass that was too far for him. But that goal was his game in a nutshell. He kept sprinting and believing. He pressed the defender, win the ball, and went through on goal to score a clean striker's finish. I think he really cemented his role as the clear backup to Mbappe this season with this performance. So who gets the Galáctico of the match? Well, it could have gone to Jude, who was our engine the whole game. Vini was in Ballon d'Or mode for 10 minutes and changed the game in our favor. As you might have noticed, Trent was also spectacular. But for me, I have to give it to Gonzalo García. He played his first full game, he pressed, he defended, he scored, he created, and he showed pure passion for the badge. So yeah, like I said before the competition even started, our next matchup will be against Juventus. It will be July 1st at 3 p.m. USA time. It's gonna be hot, players will be baking in the sun, but if we play with the same quality and intensity as this game, vamos a ganar.